Chris Boyer, and this is a video in response to a reflection prompt for PE 551 at Azusa Pacific University. And this was in response to a video that we were given to watch about a wrestler in Georgia named Demetrius Demores, who was a high school wrestler. And during a big meet, he offered to be in an exhibition match against a student named Michael Lynn, who had Down syndrome. And the purpose of the video was to show how Demetrius Demores had really good character, being willing to demonstrate good sportsmanship and wrestle against Michael Lynn, and ultimately to let Michael Lynn win. And so this is what sporting is supposed to be about. My personal mission in coaching and teaching is to create community and character through sport, because I personally love sport, I love to train, but I've also seen people who play and have really bad attitudes while they play. And so I've been fortunate to be able to play a lot of sports and have the opportunity to be exposed to a lot of sporting communities, including internationally, being able to work for the Olympic Committee in El Salvador. So I've seen really high-level athletics, and I've seen it done well, but I've also been part of like church leagues where people are supposed to be Christians and not acting like Christians in like a silly game of like volleyball or flag football or basketball. So I've seen those things happen, and so I personally feel that character needs to be demonstrated through sport. Maybe it's a litmus test, it's an indicator, it helps develop it, and it also helps expose it. The first question is, when was the last time I saw true active sportsmanship? And the first thing that came to my mind was a ultra athlete named Susie Degazon, who she was a world champion, just an excellent athlete, and she was willing to help my daughters to be able to go through a triathlon. And just that mentality of a champion helping someone who's brand new. But I do feel that that is the culture of endurance racing, or at least in the triathlon community that I've seen, where you will see a last place finisher getting applauded. You will see a middle of the race finisher being applauded and cheered for. In swimming and water polo, you don't see an 8th place team really being applauded. You don't, in a tournament, you don't really see someone who got last place in consolation finals getting applauded. It's a beautiful thing to be able to see that sportsmanship of really encouraging and lifting people up that I've seen in triathlon. Remembering the scripture, Luke 6:31, do as to others as you'd have them do to you. This kind of mentality was demonstrated by Demetrius Demores when he thought about how he would feel in that situation, what he would want done to himself. And then he tried to help Michael Lynn to have that experience. So how would this scripture apply to my scenario? Well, as a coach, I think that number one, it's important for me to continually remember what the students are feeling when I'm coaching them. I think that's really important as a coach and as a leader to try to walk in the other person's shoes. That's what my dad would say, learn to walk in the other person's shoes. As a coach, one of the things that I try to do when I'm winning against another team, so if I'm in a situation where I'm winning by more than 10 goals, I create rules for my team to follow. Because at a 10-goal lead, it's really not going to be possible for the other team to catch up. And 99% of the time, the goal count doesn't matter. It doesn't go towards anything. It's not like, an overall league where the point standards can make a difference in final seeding. Most of the time it doesn't matter. If I'm winning by 10 goals or I'm winning by 16 goals, there's not going to be a difference. So at 10 goals, I try to reduce the amount of goals my team is scoring against another team by doing things like having them run a play and saying you can only score when you're doing this. I really don't, it's hard to learn when you're just getting smashed by someone else. And so I believe that it's really good as a coach when you're in a winning scenario to try to consider what the other team is feeling and try to incorporate a way of coaching that's going to be kind towards them. And so finally, the statement, whether I agree or disagree and why, Demetrius Moore, strength doesn't come from the gym, it comes from the soul. So I believe that, I agree with that. The reason why I agree with that is because someone might be talented outwardly, but really the character is what's going to take someone further in life. And so the strength, even for a world champion, there was some degree of talent that world champion had to have, but it was his inner strength that brought him to the point to be able to utilize that talent that he was given. And I think wherever someone's talent level might be, that their strength has to come from inside, not from outside. And so in sports, like I started off saying, that my purpose in sports is to create community and character through sport. So that's what I would like to develop. And I would like to develop wherever someone's talent level lies, that I would help them develop greater character in the process. Develop character within myself and within the players who I coach to be more like Demetrius Moore, and demonstrate the scripture, as Luke 6:31 talked about, to do unto others as you would have them do to you.